Welcome! We are some MLP fans with big imagination, and just for fun, we look for extra lore in My Little Pony's G5, and we would like to share it with the world. Seriously, we did find some interesting lore that can explain what looks like a mess of random facts and nonsense narratives, and what you are about to see will blow your minds. Maybe, or you will just think we're crazy. Let us first show you the evidence that led us to this crazy headcanon. We're going to extract facts from there, and then we're going to make assumptions and deductions. We developed a story and we have evidence for all of it. We hope you'll enjoy it. Let's watch some clips from the show with important information. Pay close attention to each one of these, and then we're going to see that they have interesting information. We have two versions of the same story. Each of them gives us clues about Equestria's past. The first version was the one told by Sonny Starscout. It has a very important detail.
Once upon a time, there was a very special unicorn, a bright unicorn as bright as the sun. One day, she was summoned by the princess for an assignment to learn about friendship. She moved to Ponyville and met Earth ponies, unicorns, and Pegasi, who became her best friends. Together, they taught the power of unity and how to live in harmony to every pony in Equestria. But then, one day, a magical accident happened. An Earth pony got hurt by a unicorn. Every pony started fighting with each other. The princess, wanting to protect her kingdom and all of the ponies in it, decided to put all magic into 3 crystals before it got out of hoof. After that, Earth ponies only felt safe with other Earth ponies. Unicorns with unicorns and Pegasi of a feather flocked together. The ponies galloped, trotted, and flew as far as they could with their crystals, settling in what would become Zephyr Heights, Bridalwood, and Maritime Bay.
The facts we can gather from the story: Twilight de-escalates the conflict using the Unity crystals. The fight started the separation of the 3 tribes. The story told by Misty has Opalin's point of view and centered in the Alicorn Queen.
You were right about magic being in Equestria at the beginning, but most of it came from another pony, who wasn't a pony at all, but an Alicorn Queen. Her magic was too powerful. They were jealous of her ability and wanted it all for themselves. So the princess stole all the magic from the queen and hid it away somehow. Then the princess put an enchanted invisibubble around Equestria so the powerful Alicorn Queen could never find the magic or the kingdom of ponies again. The queen was left alone, with only a shadow left of her strength and power, all while the other ponies created towns built with her stolen magic.
This story was told in Chapter 2, Episode 6, The Traditional Unicorn Sleepover. The facts we can gather from the presented evidence are: Opalin believes she owns the magic. A shield was placed around Equestria to prevent Opalin from interacting with the ponies. Opalin was weak after the separation. Put a pin on the assumptions for now, because there's more to cover. Let's hear Opalin's story from Chapter 4, Episode 4.
When I was growing up in Skyros, they were the golden ponies, the favorites. Every pony loved them, but I saw right through their act. They thought they were so great because they had the whole sun and moon thing going. Please, I had something much better. I was an Alicorn of fire, of power, of strength. And because of that, I had to prove I was not to be underestimated. They'd learn I was not only the wrong pony to push around, but I would be so much more. I would live up to my elemental duty.
These are the facts we can gather from the evidence. Opalin lived in a place called Skyros. The golden ponies mentioned in her story are Celestia and Luna. Opalin, Celestia, and Luna are approximately the same age. There is not much to infer here. Opalin grew on Skyros, and at some point she moved to Equestria. But one thing worth to note, no one in Equestria seems to know about Skyros. Now let's talk about Elderflower. In Chapter 5, Episode 4, she mentions that her ancestors provided her with great knowledge, especially her great Auntie Moon Dancer. Yay! G-Force reference! In this graphic, we can see the lineage of Elderflower. Assuming each pony had their offspring between the ages of 20 to 30, we can estimate there is between 120 and 180 years of difference. However, Elderflower is not a newborn. Assuming ponies have a similar lifespan as humans, if we are generous, we can say she's 60 years old, and if she's very lucky, she could be between 80 or 90 years old, giving us a time lapse between 180 to 270 years approximately between Friendship is Magic and a new generation. Why are we talking about Elderflower? Well, in Chapter 5, Episode 4, she said this.
These trees are very powerful, created only when ponies come together through true friendship. Together, trees communicate and connect magically to each other through their roots underground. They are our great protectors, and we in turn must protect them.
And in Chapter 5, Episode 6, Opaline says this.
Just as I suspected, that useless together tree I grew all those years ago has finally made a connection with another one. And the perfect one at that.
I guess the only statement we can gather from this evidence is that Opaline grew a together tree in her dark castle. But the real reason why we talk about Elderflower is because of the famous story of the greedy bat in Chapter 5, Episode 4.
A long time ago, there was a magical bat named Dawn. She was surrounded by other bats like her, but one of the bats refused to get along with the others. This bat wanted to fly around and eat all the fruit for herself. So Dawn spoke to a spider, who wove a beautiful web to keep the mean, greedy bat away. In the end, Dawn was able to protect their nest, yet the greedy bat continues to this day to try to break the web. Which is why some bats eat fruit and some bats eat insects.
From this story, we can gather these facts. The greedy bat represents Opaline. The bats represent either ponies in general or alicorns. The spider is not a pony, otherwise it would be another bat. But if bats are alicorns, ponies could represent the spider, or vice versa. Now let's get to the biggest piece of this puzzle, the picture book about the Guardians that appears in Chapter 3, Episode 1. In the cover, we can see the image of a tree with the stars as flowers or fruit, and also a structure in the right part of the cover that suspiciously looks like Zephyr Heights, and on the left part there is a plant. There are also two unicorn heads in the top left and right. One of them has a headwear that might suggest a crown. It's also the same hat that Pip wears in the Winter Wish Day special. Nothing to do with anything, but isn't it curious? The first page contains an image of three places illuminated by a yellow star and an image of the sea. In the center of the illustration, we can see a pink palace. However, it doesn't match with any place previously shown on Friendship is Magic or A New Generation. The text says, "Once upon a time, a shooting star broke into three bright crystals, landed on the land called Equestria. Each crystal reborn as guardians of the land. As time passed forwards, the three guardians became distant and lost, no longer able to remember their purpose. Until one day..." The second page doesn't have any visible text. It shows a group of unicorns gathered around the wishing tree. A white unicorn with big mane in the center of the illustration. On the third page, we can read the following text. The three guardians finally meet once again. And in this page, we can see three ponies, a pony of each tribe. I want to point out that the earth pony is purple with a blue mane. The unicorn is white with pink hair. The Pegasus is blue with a white mane. On the last page there is text, but unfortunately it's too blurry to make sense. What we could decipher so far is a unicorn, Equestria, scary rumors. The page contains a white and pink unicorn traveling through a snowy beach during a blizzard. In the foreground, we can see the blossom of a flower in a branch or trunk of a bare tree. These are the facts we can gather from this evidence. It all begins with a falling star. The star left 3 crystals. The crystals were bonded with 3 ponies, a pony of each kind. The guardians. The ponies on the 3rd page of the book are the guardians. At some point in their lives, the guardians became wicked. Each of the guardians in the illustration share colors with Opaline. The illustration on the 3rd page suspiciously looked like Opaline's dark castle. The guardians were separated and, after a while, they reunited again. The unicorn guardian traveled through Equestria, creating scary rumors. With these facts, we can make the following assumptions and inferences. The guardians were considered heroes or leaders among each of the pony tribes. Probably that's why they received the name guardians. We can assume this from the second picture, where we see the pink unicorn in the center of the page, seemingly guiding a ceremony. In the cover of the book, there are 3 unicorns around the tree. The one in the middle seems to be the unicorn guardian and is looking at the sky instead of the tree. It might also suggest it's watching the star at the top of the cover. The unity crystals are the crystals coming from the shooting star, just for the fact that both of them are a set of 3. The plant in page 3 is a together tree, since we know Opaline's dark castle has 1. It implied that the together tree was planted by their pony, for its presence in the illustration on page 3. Their pony heard by a unicorn in the Unity Crystal story could refer to the Earth Pony and Unicorn Guardians. If the Guardians were influential enough, they could have caused the separation of the ponies. The Guardians were separated for a long period, then, for some reason, they reunited again. After the reunion, the unicorns started to spread scary rumors. It's no coincidence that the star broke into 3 parts and designated 3 guardians, nor that the guardians have the same colors as Opaline. This would mean the guardians are related to Opaline somehow, so much that you could say there is confusion on who planted the together tree in Opaline's dark castle. The book reads, "The guardians became distant and lost, no longer able to remember their purpose." What was the guardians' purpose? According to the story, protect the 3 tribes. But what if the reason they lost their purpose was because it wasn't their real purpose? And so, after a lot of theorizing, we put together a story. A story so crazy, it might be true. Once upon a time, there was Skyros, the land of the alicorns. It was not in Equestria, but in the sky. A comet that orbited the planet, and it was visible each year. The Equestrians now know it as the Wishing Star. There lived an alicorn of fire named Opaline. She tried to leave Skyros for Equestria. Accidentally or intentionally, she split into the 3 different kinds of ponies. But something went wrong when she arrived, and her magic was separated from her and put into 3 crystals. This also caused her to forget who she was. Twilight Sparkle, Equestria's ruler, discovered the star's crystals. She kept them and studied them, in what in current time is known as bridalwood. She realized that the crystals increased the magic of the ponies, and believed that one day, even her ponies would have the ability to cast spells thanks to their power. The divided alicorn became the guardians of each of their own kind. However, one day, the unicorn guardian hurt the Earth Pony guardian, and that stirred a conflict between the 3 guardians. And then, they brought the rest of the ponies into the conflict. Twilight Sparkle feared that with the new, stronger magic, the conflict would get worse, so she separated the crystals. Somehow, the guardians persuade each of the 3 kinds of ponies to trust only their own. During this time, each of the 3 races changed their tradition of heartwarming Eve with new celebrations. These were all about the Wishing Star, Skyros. As time passed, the guardians realized they needed each other, so they reunited once again. During this reunion, they will learn the truth about their origin. A new personality arose from within. They started planning their return, and somehow using the limited magic they had, they devised a way to weaken the power of the ponies and the crystals, so they could take them. During this time, her unicorn form created and spread scary rumors about all three kinds. Finally, the Guardians reformed as Opaline Arcana. But she was weak, since she didn't have much magic. She assumed her magic was stolen, and blamed Twilight Sparkle for it. Twilight Sparkle found out about Opaline's plot and asked for help. A non-pony being created a spell to protect Equestria from Opaline. The alicorn was unable to penetrate this shield. As time passed and friendship became scarce, ponies' new power weakened, and they eventually lost most of their innate abilities, like flying or casting magic. But since they were true to themselves, they kept their cutie mark magic. One day, Opaline found a little filly named Misty and decided to take care of her to use in her nefarious plans. Unknown to Opaline, Misty's appearance was because of the Dark Castle's Together tree, since she had gotten lost far away at Bridalwood. Unable to act or recover her magic, Opaline has been waiting in her castle for a chance to act. Some of the events on this timeline are possibly out of order and some of the claims are outrageous, but not without reason. Let's start with Skyros. Why do we think Skyros and the Wishing Star are one and the same? I'm going with the first obvious key. Skyros is in the sky. Like, it's in the name, it's implied.
It's just a name. It doesn't mean anything.
Like how Cloudsdale is in the clouds and the Crystal Empire is made of crystal?
Fair point.
But you could say it could be on a high mountain or floating continent, right? Well, yes, it could be, but the crystals arrive from a quote-unquote shooting star that we canonically know appears every year, the Wishing Star. I must admit that we are on a slippery slope here. We know that the crystals could be related to the Wishing Star. We know the crystals are related to the Guardians, and we know the Guardians share a color scheme with Opaline. Also, while it's heavily implied that the Earth Pony planted the tree, we know for a fact that Opaline claims that. We're assuming there are no contradictions in the story, otherwise this would be pointless. So, if the Earth Pony Guardian and Opaline are both assumed to have planted the Together tree, that means they both were the same. But if one is an Earth Pony and the other is an Alicorn, that wouldn't be possible. Unless Opaline was a mixture of three different ponies, each of one kind, who conveniently share all her colors. But Opaline remembers living and being raised in Skyros, so she couldn't simply be three ponies mixed to create an alicorn. She was an alicorn in Skyros, and when she arrived at Equestria, she got separated into the Guardians. The perception of the Guardians is good, implied just by the name, but their known behavior doesn't align with Opaline's. So either Opaline was good in the beginning, therefore also her parts, and they got corrupted in the process of guarding the ponies, or she simply lost her memories for a while, and as the Guardians started to remember, they started to behave wickedly. During the separation of the tribes, each of the Guardians replaced Heartwarming Eve, a holiday that celebrated unity among the pony kinds, with Winter Wish Day for the Earth ponies, Wishing Hoof for the unicorns, and Wishing Time for the Pegasi, all of them celebrating the Wishing Star, the place where Opaline came from. When the Guardians met again, they discovered they were part of the same person, and decided to reunite themselves as an alicorn. We know that didn't happen immediately, as the next page of the Guardians' book after their reunion has the unicorn spreading scary rumors. Another reason why we think Opaline used to be three ponies is because Opaline shows sudden but consistent mood changes that go from cold and calculative
Enjoy your leaves now, you silly ponies, because...
to sudden bursts of anger.
Wait, why are they enjoying leaves? Is this some weird gardening celebration?
And then sometimes playful and vain attitudes.
Claire, you're... The most brilliant alicorn in the universe! Wow!
These moods might come because of her reintegrating from her 3 pony counterparts, being the Earth pony hot-headed, the unicorn someone serious and cold, and the Pegasus someone playful and vain. The tribes were separated before the conflict started. It only made things worse. What did Opaline gain from the tribes fighting each other after that? Probably chaos and easier to control subjects. The Invisibubble was created after the 3 guardians became Opaline. Otherwise, an anti-alicorn spell would not make much sense. Opaline assumed that Twilight created the shield that protects Equestria. I personally believe it was a changeling. Why? Well, bats are mammals, the same as ponies. But the spiders are more like insects than other things. Yes, I know technically spiders are arachnids, not insects, blah blah blah. The point is, one race that is part insect could impersonate others and have concealing and deceiving magic are the changelings. However, there is another theory, that the spirit of harmony could be the spider. She shares resemblance with Twilight Sparkle, and I think it's a strong possibility, since the only requirement for the spider in the story is to not be a pony. Opaline, weakened and unable to take advantage of the chaos, would wait for a chance to take her place as ruler of Equestria. Somehow, if she already ruled as an Earth pony, Pegasus, and Unicorn leaders, why wouldn't she rule over all of them at the same time? And just to make it clear, Opaline didn't kidnap Misty. She's too lazy for that. As we could see in Family Trees Part 1, she was teleported. It's not clear how, but we know it could be the Together Tree. Also, she was once again teleported at the end of Chapter 5, Episode 2, without Opaline even noticing. Even though she is not a kidnapper, we can all agree Opaline is abusive and has caused psychological damage to Misty. One last thing. If the shield the spider weave prevents alicorns from entering Equestria, that would explain why Celestia, Luna, Cadence, Flurry Heart, and even Twilight Sparkle did not and will not intervene. Please don't take this headcanon too seriously. It was an entertaining exercise to put all the lore together into a cohesive narrative without contradictions. We think we are close to the true story, but wouldn't be surprised if the writers come up with something different or decide on something else later. We hope you had a good time. Like and comment below. We'd love to hear any feedback for this silly theory. Really, anything at all. It would be really appreciated. We don't ask you to subscribe because we don't know when we're doing something like this again. But please, don't get mad. This is just a theory. A pony theory! MudPod, please don't sue us and have a nice day. Goodbye!